Hello there, Lisa Jane here, your host for the 7 Principles to Self-Care. And today's the last one, and I'm so super excited because this one's going off with a bang. We are going to be talking about taking a dump. Yes, you heard me right. I'm not sugarcoating this one. It's so important that we take care of our colon to prevent illness, disease, and conditions on the body. I have Suki Zoë with me, who is from the UK. I've been following her on Instagram for about a year now, and I'm loving her posts. I'll be putting up all the details how to follow her. She's a colon hydrotherapist, and she is an ambassador for enemas. So we're going to be talking about this because it's so important that we keep our colon area hydrated. So without further ado, let's bring her on. Hello, Suki Zoë. It's Lisa Jane here. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here, Lisa.
You're welcome. I appreciate this conversation we're going to have because it is the finale of the 7 Principles to Self-Care. And this one, I started off calling it the principle of movement. And a lot of people started to ask what it meant. Was it about moving the body for exercise? And however, I see it as moving the internal body to help us have better gut health. Let's just go straight into it. That's right. Because I always talk about this online about, well, I just go straight into it. Take a dump. It's going to help you to release toxic, draining and negative emotions. And today we're going to talk about that. So I'd love for you to share your insights. And if you could just explain to us a little bit about what it means to have a healthy colon.
Well, in an ideal world, a healthy colon means that you are going to the toilet after every single meal. You take one meal in and you have one meal come out.
How long does it take? How long does it usually take for if you have one meal for a healthy body?
Ideal transit time should be 12 to 18 hours for each meal. However, there's always it's like a traffic jam. Some things go quicker, some things get stuck and go slower. So just because you have some food come out that you can recognize that you ate the day before, it doesn't mean that there isn't older stuff stuck back there. Foods like sweet corn and beetroot and unchewed mushrooms will come out quicker. And so you can see the sweet corn and go, oh, I'm regular because I've been pooing every day and there's my sweet corn. But you've got bread from weeks, months ago still stuck. So it's not like one meal comes in and the whole thing goes through as one bolus and comes out intact. It gets mixed up inside.
Really interesting, actually, you say that because I've decided not to have corn because of worrying about the GMO and also of it not being broken down. So can you explain a little bit about that? Is it okay to be having foods that don't break down very well, or is it best to avoid those kind of foods?
What do you mean by break down?
When they're coming out looking just like what you were putting into.
Oh, well, that's basically because you haven't chewed them properly. So chewing is it's one of my things I say every day. Most people are inhaling their food and the food is not meeting their teeth. And so if you have any large particles of food going through the system that are not chewed and emulsified, you can't absorb that food and it's going to rot and putrefy. And the gas coming off that will make you bloated and give you more cravings. And some of it comes out and some of it doesn't come out.
So would it be best just to
so it's not so much about that one particular food, it's about the fact you're not chewing it. And anything we eat we need to chew properly. Corn, on the other hand, doesn't suit me, even though I love it, so I choose not to eat it regardless, you know.
So then to help your gut to chew, what's some ways to let everyone know what's the best thing to do? Because I would think just take your time. Don't watch anything while you're eating. Really enjoy it. Some people count how many chews, 20 chews before they swallow. What's some other ways to help the body?
It's funny. I don't think I do any of the appropriate things when I eat. I like to pick standing up kind of thing. I don't, I think it depends on the person and what their state is. So for some people, I'd say eat with your left hand, eat with chopsticks if that slows you down. Do whatever it takes to slow you down, and to enjoy your food and to keep it simple. I think for some people, if they have a massive amount of food and there's a sense that they have to get through it in a certain amount of time, or they've got they come from a large family where there was always a scrabble for food, or schools where there was a run for the canteen, that they got into the psyche of I've only got 10 minutes to eat, or there's a competition around food. So there's lots of that mentality with speed eating, and the stress around food, literally eating as you're walking down the street. Not ideal.
Yeah, that's what mostly entrepreneurs do. People that are in business on the go all the time, just grabbing something in the car or walking from one meeting to another. Anyone that's in business, even mums do it too.
Which can be fine depending on your psyche. I used to love to ride my motorbike and eat food, because I was chilled while I did it. But if you are sitting in the car for too long and you're too stagnant and you are stressed and you're feeling road rage, don't be eating at the same time.
What kind of things will happen then to us if we are doing it like that, if we're living that life on the go?
Not chewing properly, inhaling too much as you're eating, not having the appropriate stomach acids. So generally people aren't food combining properly, so your stomach acids are off. And then the stagnancy that comes with all of that. I deal with a lot more with stress now than I ever did before. So there's a lot of emotional contraction in the body around with stress. So all of this compounds, and there is no easy fix. It's very specific to each person of where they hold the stress in their body, how that affects their digestive system.
Yeah, that's really important, because I follow the 24-hour chi cycle. So when it comes with stress, linking it up to the organ in the body is what I like to do as well, to know how to heal the area, because external is just a mirror for us to know what's going on inside of us. So with knowing that too, because I know you follow the 24-hour chi cycle as well on your Instagram page, which I'll put the link up for everyone to follow, you had a beautiful diagram on there that I absolutely love. And it shows there that the large intestine area is between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. So tell me a little bit more about that area and why it's important for us to know that the energy is flowing through there.
Well, on a good day, I can be woken up by my colon moving at that time. I literally get woken up going, oh, it's time to poo, and you can feel the snake moving through your system. Now, to get those conditions means I've slept well, I was hydrated the day before, I didn't eat late at night, and I'm kind of like on track with that cycle. It doesn't happen every day, but it certainly is a good feeling when you're woken up with that, oh, it's poo o'clock.
I love that. It's 2 o'clock. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's and the points you made are fantastic. So it's not about that moment then, it's what you've done before. Make sure that you're hydrated, didn't eat too late at night. I also say that we get to bed at a good time as well, because sleeping is also going to help the body to reset and reboost. And I love that the poo o'clock is perfect. Large intestine needs to do its job, and I find that if we are pooing in that time frame, the rest of the day feels a lot lighter.
Oh yeah.
So then how do we improve the colon? We've just spoken about hydration. How do we hydrate ourselves? What's some tips there?
The easiest way to hydrate the body is by drinking fresh vegetable juices. No doubt about it. If you have access to clean spring water, amazing. But for many of us who don't, then vegetable juices are going to be the way to go. But for some people, it's too late to try and hydrate the colon by putting things in the mouth. You have to hydrate the colon by putting water up the bum, clean out the waste, and then the message of hydration in the colon is reset for the whole body. So if your colon is dehydrated, the message to the body is emergency, we're dehydrated. And however much water you drink, it's not going to reach the colon, it's too late. And I can't tell you how many people come into me saying, I'm bloated. I'm like, you're not bloated, you're full. You're absolutely full of solid poo. This is not bloat. You might have a bit of gas in the middle, but generally it's like you're full of a brick. Once you get to that state, you can't hydrate unless you were to get dysentery, which would save your life, you can't hydrate by eating or drinking.
Okay, so getting colonics is one of the ideas to do. And then how often should we be doing that?
Colonics and enemas. It depends on the person, but on a regular basis, like you would take care of cleaning your house or cleaning your teeth or getting your oil changed, and our bodies need regular maintenance. There's no fixed rule around how often. Monthly would be great, at least minimal season changes 4 times a year. More often if you need it, depending on your metabolism, your psyche, the climate, the season, your age. Our needs change throughout our lives. So again,
and this is not new at all. My grandmother, she's been doing enemas since I could remember as a kid, and the rest of the family laughed about it because they were becoming more westernized. My grandmother is from Florina, Greek Macedonian she is. So she brought that tradition here, and now I'm the one that's into it, and the rest of the family still think it's a bit odd. But it's not new. So how long has it been going around colonics and enemas?
Well, ancient. I mean, enemas are in the Bible, and they used to use coconuts and bamboos and pigs' bladders and whatever else they could find to hold water and get water up the bum. I'm a bit of a geek with researching ancient diagrams of enemas, and
it's great.
Almost like they've got bellows and they're squeezing the water in. And then I think it was about maybe 170 years ago, the Germans invented the colonics as we know it now. So up until the 1940s or 50s, enema bags were really common in Germany and Russia particularly, and maybe Greece as well. I don't know. I didn't know about that. And it was only with the advent of medicine really that people stopped doing enemas because they thought the laxatives were going to be the answer. So over the last, I guess 20, 30 years, people have been refining the colonic machine a lot more, whereas the enema bag is very simple and doesn't need to be refined to the current colonic situation we have now.
So I start thinking, how do we then know if we are dehydrated in the colon area? What kind of symptoms do we get?
We just are.
We just
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
I mean, really, unless you're living on the land without Wi-Fi and you're cooking, you're growing and eating your own food, and you're physically active and you're sleeping with the sun, we're all compromised. That's how it goes.
And when you say sleeping with the sun, what do you mean by that? Sleeping when the sun goes down and waking up when the sun comes up. I love that. We just had a discussion last week about the principle of sleep. And again, with the 24-hour chi cycle, I love that. When the sun starts to set, that's when we need to get ready for bed, our bedtime routine. When the sun starts to rise, we rise with the sun. However, here in Melbourne, we have daylight savings, and it just throws us all off. And it's something that we don't like. Do you have it over there in the UK?
We do. We also haven't had any sunshine for 7 days straight. So I'm feeling a little bit loopy right now.
Does that also does that have an impact on the colon as well?
Good question. I don't know if it does specifically. I think it means that people eat more emotionally if there's no sunshine, because they know that they're lacking something, but they don't know what they're lacking. So they might go for more comfort food, because on another grey overcast day like this, they're going to go and have want a latte and a cupcake or whatever the thing is, because there's the psychology around, oh, it's winter and it's cold, I deserve X, Y, and Z, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. Emotional eating can do that. And then speaking of that, how do we keep our gut health healthy? So what kind of things shall we, I know you've got the colonics and the enemas, but when it comes to other ways like bicarb soda, apple cider vinegar, what are other suggestions that are good?
Fermented vegetables every day or every other day. Fermented vegetables, I always would eat over probiotics because they're more potent and easier and cheaper and delicious. But and or probiotics, yeah. And then I love to eat garlic and antifungal foods and herbs, and to skip sugar.
Yeah, refined sugars that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Not fructose from fruit, because some people get really confused. They think, oh no, I can't have sugar anymore. So then they scratch out all the sweet fruits.
Well, also that depends on the seasons and whether the fruit is local. I don't tend to eat fruit that is not local and out of season that much. My fruit intake is actually pretty minimal because I don't like it so much. But when I see people right now eating pineapple in England, I'm like, no, not so much.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's a tropical fruit that was picked unripe and shipped God knows how long ago, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
you know, if you living in a place where the pineapple's growing on the trees, go and pick it and eat it. Get yourself covered in pineapple juice. But it doesn't work here so much for me.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky here in Australia because, pineapples grow amazing in Queensland, and it's only about a 2 to 4 hour flight from where
but
I
you're not
am.
in Queensland. I would say what is local in where you are, what is grown there, and focus on those foods.
So that means that I'd never be able to have pineapple unless I fly over.
I mean, in England we get we have amazing blueberries, obviously, and our apples I think are probably the best I've ever tasted, and plums and greengages, but we don't have peaches and nectarines. They're all come from Spain in the summer. So when I do go to Spain, I'm literally under the fig trees, I kind of, it's not really a secret, but I would follow the fig season throughout the world and just eat fresh, ripe local figs. But the ones that come here are terrible. I wouldn't waste my time eating figs that are shipped to England because I know what the real stuff tastes like,
I love it. It's just my mind now is going to another place, and I want to share this. I now will have to travel more. I think it's a great idea if we are eating local, and local being the farmers that are in your state. I would think, is that what you mean? And we travel more, and traveling more is fantastic. I'm happy to say I'm not eating pineapple only when I travel to Queensland, and it gives me an excuse to get out of the state.
Well, I would say just see how it feels. It's like our local area is the extension of our microbiome. So, which is difficult because so much of our food is imported. Our chocolate, our coffee, even our incense is coming from other places, and we take it for granted that we have access to these things. However, when you get down to what you need, how much of that is local? And I don't know, maybe it's more specific to the sugars, that needs to come from the same sun latitude, and it's the same with the oils, that it makes sense to have things that are more local with sugars.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for clearing that up, because local for me I felt was my country local, but no, that's something I'm going to start looking into a little bit more and understanding what is local, and the farmers markets would be what's local.
Exactly. The greens in season, the tomatoes in season, you can't compare with locally grown tomatoes and then off season flown in tomatoes, the flavors.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, it's different. I grow my tomatoes in the backyard and I generally wouldn't eat a lot of tomatoes, but the ones in the backyard, they don't end up in the kitchen because as I'm watering, because they're cherry tomatoes,
Exactly.
I'm popping them off and eating them.
Yeah.
They're amazing. And now we've got strawberries growing because we're in spring here and I've had to buy organza bags to put them over the strawberries because the birds have been eating them. I haven't put a net over it because it gets a little bit annoying to take off the net. And it's great because we finally ate our first strawberries today and you can't compare. Like even at the supermarket when you see premium Australian and it says local, no, it's not the same thing as just picking it off and just going
Yeah.
for it straight away.
Yeah. And so the softer the fruit is, the more it perishes. Like I've had persimmon. Do you guys have persimmon there?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
So I've had the persimmon in England is called Sharon fruit, and it's always like a brick. And the first time I tried it, first few times I tried it, you're cutting through this thing that's disgusting and sucks at your tongue. It almost wants to take your moisture from you.
Yeah.
And then I had them in California by the roadside from the tree, and it was a completely different experience. I'm like, this is what they're meant to be like. These fruits are too delicate to travel well. So they're picked so hard and they're expected to ripen. They never ripen.
Makes sense. Yeah, I've had some dry ones and some juicy ones. Yeah,
yeah. When you have the juicy ones, nothing else matters.
Yeah, that's really important to know that because not only like when we go to the grocery, to the farmers markets or just to hunters and gatherers, which is a market that I go to here, I'm teaching my daughter to smell the fruit and listen to it, not just the tapping, but just be in the moment with the fruit and get the ones that you are drawn to. But it's not only just that. Now we have to know, is it grown here locally where you are, so many kilometers away from you? It's going to be extra work now, which I absolutely love. I love doing that. I love researching and understanding. I don't know if my grocer is going to be open to telling me. I'm going to tell him now, I don't want to see product of Australia. I want to see product of and put the suburb it came from or the state. He's not going to like me. Oh, that's so good that you've opened my eyes up. Thank you so much. Because we're always here to grow and learn. I'm just going through to see what else there is that we should talk about. Okay, this is something that I want to bring up. What about fasting?
It's awesome.
So we fast when we go to sleep. We're dry fasting. So shall we continue that when we wake up or get straight into water fasting?
Well, we naturally fast when we sleep. The longer we can go without putting anything in, the more of a chance our system has to reset, recalibrate, do the deep work, and not be taxed by digestion. The most exhausting thing we do that takes the most energy is digest. So the longer we can go without putting anything in, the better.
Yeah, I feel like it's amazing. Even with anxiety, when I used to have a lot of emotion sitting in my solar plexus, I found that, well, I didn't have an appetite and it was good for me not to eat because I was able to reset my body and I felt that I was at a good size with my weight until years later I started learning about, oh no, breakfast is, the most important part of the day. And I started to bloat and it was also because I was having Wheat Bix for breakfast. Wasn't a smart move. I didn't understand it. I was in my 20s. I didn't know what I was doing. And then once I learned that, now I stay away from it. And then, so I understood about water fasting and dry fasting, intermittent fasting as well. The most I've done is 5 days of water fasting. And that was an experience. I think by the second or third day, I have a photo and I look at it all the time. I've never seen such darkness and puffiness under my eyes and how unwell I looked because I was just so dehydrated. I wasn't drinking enough water in that time and I wasn't doing the enemas until the third day. I topped everything up. And then by the 5th day, Oh my goodness. I didn't want to stop, but I was ready because I already said to myself, I'm going to do it for 5 days. And then the first thing I drank, speaking of pineapples, was like I was craving pineapples. So I had pineapple juice, and wow, that was so profound, that moment. I don't think I've ever tasted a pineapple like that before because I hadn't tasted anything for 5 days.
Well, pineapple definitely gets things moving. I've broken fast with pineapples because it will get things moving really quickly.
Wow, I didn't know that was probably the best thing to choose. My body was just saying it. There you go. It was quite intuitive, very spiritual that day.
Well, you shouldn't expect to be looking good on day 3 of a water fast. All the energy in your body is going inside to heal, rather than worrying about what your skin and your face look like. This is a time to rest. So anytime you're water fasting, you want to be resting, sleeping, not exerting energy, not doing crazy boot camp stuff, but really letting everything that your body needs to be doing, do it properly. That sentence did not make sense, but
no, I know what you mean. I did it in a time when it was pre-winter, not a good time, and I had to take my daughter to school every morning. So my blood pressure dropped, and I was crawling to the kitchen to get water. But by the 3rd day, I realised, okay, I've got to have water by my bedside table, and I've got to just sit up in bed and just wait and take my daughter to school in my pajamas. She knows how to jump out of the car and walk. But I told myself, I'm not going to do this again until it's the school holidays in my summer, and we're going to do it when I've had the house fully cleaned and there's just DVDs to watch or Netflix or whatever it is that I'm going to have. And then the kitchen is filled with food for my child to take care of herself, so I can just rest and get out in the sun as well, absorb the vitamin D as well, so that can keep me going. So actually, I'd love to bring this next part up about children. So what about kids' gut health and them drinking juices and resetting their body?
Same applies, except that we can't treat kids with colonics, but they can certainly have enemas. And the same rules of food and hygiene and health are applied to kids with probiotics and fermented foods and not eating sugars, and start them young, basically. Primarily get kids used to the taste of fresh vegetables and healthy foods and not addicted to the cracks from a young age.
Yeah. So what about raw versus cooked when it comes to vegetables and fruits?
That depends on each vegetable. Some work well cooked, some work well raw. So and it depends on how each food assimilates with the person. So it's a kind of like, raw cauliflower is going to make everybody gassy. It is. So steamed sweet potato is a clean, healthy, light cooked vegetable that I would always go to as a is my go-to food. Celery, cucumber, all the watery foods you want to eat raw because they contain the life-giving water. So you're obviously not going to cook them.
Yes, I made that mistake last year. I steamed celery. I don't know what I was thinking.
Oh no, celery cooks fine. It makes a great soup, but it also makes the best juice. And celery you can do anything with, but cucumber you wouldn't cook, would you? That would be weird.
No, cucumber as a juice is fantastic, I found. Yeah. So I'm learning so much, and I hope the client, our members that are watching are learning so much as well. So the takeaway points here today would be colonics and enemas should be part of our self-care routine. We need to start researching it, and Suki Zoë has an amazing Instagram account, which I'm going to put in the links in the post for you to follow, because she posts every day, and you're fantastic with your posts. They're so educational, tongue-in-cheek. It's amazing. I love the one that you put up recently about the celery one, cleaning out the bottom.
Oh, so good.
It's really important that that we look to this as educational But it is hard. It is a hard topic to talk about. It is, you know, taboo in majority of society. But if we can just
well, I think the most important thing to know is that sorry, there was a lag.
Yep, it's all good now.
The most important thing I think to know when it comes to the subject is that people will spend hundreds of dollars on supplements and not focus on gut health. Or they think that by putting things in, they're solving the problems. You have to get the old stuff out. It's the toxins in your colon that are putrefying and fermenting, that are eating up any bioavailable nutrients. You have to get the poisons out to then be able to assimilate cleanly any of these expensive supplements you're taking. So don't waste your money on supplements when you haven't taken care of your colon. And I go into, you know, especially people who are like, I want to lose weight and they want a quick fix. And I go into their house and they've got $300 worth of expensive powders that are just largely a waste of money. I'm like, but you didn't come for your colonic. What are you doing? My friend says these work. I'm like, your friend is an imbecile and you aren't listening to the basics.
I was maybe 21 or 22 when I first heard about colon health, and they had the packs that you buy 7 days to cleanse your colon and tablets to take. And I got given one of these from someone that wasn't going to use it, and before it was out of date, they gave it to me. And I just remember I didn't follow it very well because it didn't make sense. It was quite confusing. Why am I taking tablets? How are these going to dissolve and clean out my colon? And that's the moment that I started to research. So it does come down to education, what we know. And if people don't know about it, they are just going to go to the chemist and buy a laxative if they don't know about enemas and colon hydrotherapy. So that's why we're creating this video today, this recording, so we can let more people know about it and help them to feel more comfortable in having the treatments done. Not everyone's into doing it themselves. I do it myself and I'm okay with it. But the first time, I was scared. I went and bought a kit and it just sat there. It actually sat up here for about a month. And I looked at it every day. I'm going to insert you one day and have warm water, clean out my areas. And eventually I said, I got to do it. And I did it. And I'm fantastic at it now. But I would very much love to just go into a colon hydrotherapy clinic. The one that I do go to here in Melbourne, the service is amazing and they make you feel comfortable. It's not taboo at all when you walk in, which is great. And your clinic that you run as well would be very fun to go to. You see, you would make it very comfortable.
I hope so.
So on that note, I'm trying to find a pun that we can end this with. Don't use a plug. How to unplug and clean you out. I'm going on a tangent now. We're worried about how we're going to end this. Well, thank you so much, Suki Zoë, for coming on board and speaking about this principle of movement, purging, pooing. I'll get the words right when I know what to say, but we definitely, poo o'clock needs to happen between 5 and 7 a.m. if your body is functioning well. Excellent.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. See you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.